Hey everyone, it's day 36 of my 90 days of dating myself binge-free challenge. And the title of today's video is Cranial Optimism, Change, and Letting Go. Both are related, or all of the title I should say is related to both of my challenges, this new challenge of dating myself and the continuation of my previous 90-day challenge of beating binge eating disorder, using the method of progress, not perfection. So, cranial optimism, what the hell is that? So cranial related to the brain, and the brain is related, using my brain in a different way is what helped me recover from this binge eating problem the most. And today I spent some time in Manhattan, which was a breeding ground for so many previous binges, when I used the primal part of my brain that had the urge. So much friggin' food in Manhattan. Holy cow, visual triggers anywhere. And it was pretty hot today, so there were like ice cream, smoothie, like all these triggers, right? All these triggers in Manhattan. So I had a fair amount of triggers today. However, like I have said before, because of all of the work I've been doing in changing my brain, in catching the urge, in defending the part of my brain that caught the urge against the parasite that wants to act out on it, then finally acting in a different way and trusting that it will be okay, because I taught my brain that process over and over again and gradually binged less and less, all of those urges were much easier to cope with throughout my time in the city. So that's where the cranial optimism comes in. That's neuroplasticity. The brain can change. Change is the second theme. So change, as many of you know, as I've said already, I'm going through a divorce after being in like back-to-back relationships leading up to my marriage. So in addition to breaking the pattern of overeating, I'm also breaking the pattern of going from romance to romance, or romance to hookup to romance. Like, I'm nipping that in the bud, so I learned to meet those needs myself. And a divorce is really one of the hardest things to go through, and I am, still grieving part of my marriage. It is not on my mind, in the way it used to be. It's been going on a year that we've been split now, but there is still some closure I wanted to make. And I was talking with my life coach yesterday, and she made an analogy that I want to share on here because it's so relevant to change. She had made an analogy that think of when there's a fire, and the fire burns elements that were in existence, before they were burned. The fire, even though it is scary and the loss is tragic, once things are burned down and gone, it gives an opportunity for things to be rebuilt in an even better way. And that's exactly what I'm doing. It doesn't mean that I am grieving the belongings that got destroyed in the fire, which is like metaphorically, those belongings are all of the baggage from my marriage, right? I don't not miss that, but I'm trying to see it as an opportunity to rebuild and rebuild better. So that is just a bit of potential optimism for anybody else going through what I'm through and going through what I'm going through and grieving the loss of the marriage. And when it comes to change, sometimes it is hard to move into the new state of change if you haven't had complete closure over the last change. And I'm kind of in limbo with that, I'm giving my husband space. We have not had that like final wrapping up conversation. And because of all of this stuff with the virus, the court has been closed for like almost 4 months. So legally, like, our marital status is still pending. So there's odds and ends that aren't tied up yet. But what I realized, and this was my dating myself activity for today was I did a visualization, that my life coach was coaching me through a bit yesterday, and I did it myself, and it was a healing visualization, and it was basically visualizing like my soul aligning with my soon-to-be ex-husband's soul, and our souls thanking each other, for all of the good that we gave each other in the marriage, even though it didn't work out. And I actually did that visualization while I was on the ferry this morning, and it was a really beautiful moment because, I was sitting there, looking out on the water on this beautiful day, really feeling in my heart the experience of reconciling, and learning how to love from afar. And there's another visualization that I'm going to do related to this, and that's going to be my self-care for tomorrow. But that was a really good experience. I really felt like I was, sometimes, when you don't have much control over things, I have no control, over the process of the courts. I have no control over when or if the man I loved for a long time is going to want to be in communication with me again. Sometimes literally all you can do is cultivate loving energy, be with that cultivation, and use it in other areas of life, because that's what that other person taught you, that's what they left you, right? And I'm not really big on prayer, so to speak, in the, asking God or the universe for certain things, but I do like the sense of manifesting intentional energy and putting it out wherever I can, including just thoughts of kindness, and wishes of kindness and wishes of warmth, toward my ex-husband and toward anybody else, who I am concerned about. So that was a nice self-loving activity. And then the last part of it is letting go, and part of the activity I did earlier helped with letting go as well. Because once I really sat with it, I realized that there's a lot in this process that I don't have control over. And I have to learn to accept that and do what's in my power to move on. And by doing that, I'm not relying on my ex-husband's, I'm not relying on like his readiness to re-engage and have a conversation. I'm not relying on when this court process will wrapped up. I'm taking accountability over coping with the change, learning to let go, and just being the best human I can to him and to everybody else despite that. So, cranial optimism, change, and letting go. There it is for today. Hope you enjoyed. I'll check in with you all tomorrow for day 37. Thanks.